Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Epics of Irindal, episode numero 15. Welcome, everyone. Last time, our party had... Oh, thank you for the resub, T. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Last time on Epics of Irindal, our party had a sparring bout with one Master Leopard in the Silver Scale Dojo, a training facility for up-and-coming and inspired soldiers and guards of all walks of life, many of which go on to join the Silver Talons, members of the high-ranking soldier groups of the dynasty. After a long discussion with Master Leopard, you all had ventured into the floating market along the Jamila River that separates the city of Tafar to east and west. To the east, you have the mesas leading further on to one of the major seas surrounding the continent. And then to the west, the large, expansive Fidi Desert. You all gathered a number of new implements, armors, weapons, potions, things of that nature. Had a few exchanges, learning a bit about some of the items that you already had in your possession, in addition to finding some trinkets among the coin that was given to you upon departing the Railway Tavern upon your arrival in Tafar. After which, as you all headed back towards the walls of the city, you encountered a youngster, a small child, a Feywild Tabaxi child that seemed to be in severe distress, having been separated seemingly from their family or their caretakers. As this child, the more you got to know them, the young child Mateo, you realized that they were more than likely homeless or orphaned. At least as far as you could tell initially. As you all took Mateo's scattered guidance, heading back to the inside the walls of Tafar, leading back and forth as he seemingly found landmarks along the way, kind of guiding you back towards seemingly what sounded like an orphanage. You were guided back to a less populated portion of the residential districts, on which you arrived at seemingly once was an orphanage, but no longer, as you were swiftly assaulted by this small child. Child only in appearance. As soon the oddities of this small tabaxi began to give way to their real identity, a well-trained assassin claiming to be of an organization called the Hand of Faith, a kobold creature going by the name of Orte, after which he called to a group of ratlings and other kobolds who ambushed you within this darkened corner of the city, claiming that you had taken away their target, seemingly the unmurdered wife of the now late Lord Garmon aboard the Railway Tavern. After a heated fight with these crazed ratlings and kobolds, you all managed to overcome them. Dazes chasing after their leader Orte as he fled, seeing that this fight was a bit unwinnable, and although coming very close to apprehending this kobold, you were not able to do so as they escaped into the crowded city streets of Tafar. During this fight, you also came into contact with a third-party individual, a small warforged that goes by the name of Billet, a small creature, perhaps smaller even than yourself, Trash, but nonetheless a capable fighter, as they carried with them a strange projectile-ranged weapon that utilized explosive material to project small metal bearings or balls great distances at high velocity, unlike anything that you've seen thus far, and making quick work of any creature that came in the firing line of this boomstick, as he called it. But now, after a brief conversation, not Mateo, Billet discussed or offered to grab a drink with you at one of the local taverns and perhaps discuss what was going on and the reason why you all had come to meet one another in such strange, heated circumstances. At this point, you look on at the small Warforged, which I'll go ahead and put back up here so you guys can see. Just a moment here. Just so we have a visual reference. There we go. As he looks up at you all, his excitable nature as he urges you all to leave this darkened space lest other members of the Hand of Faith return to seek vengeance and retribution. Well, there's a number of taverns nearby that we might be able to, at least hide in plain sight if any more of those fuckers come on back. There's one called the Soft Shores Tavern if y'all are in need of some libations.
I give a thumbs up, still exhausted.
Yeah, I'll put my arms in the air, kind of like a shrugging, like, whatever.
All right, then. Well, if you want to follow me and you see him kind of skirting, for you, Floof, taking one step, it's almost like 3 or 4 for him. But he moves quite quickly and kind of ducks in between your larger steps, as he can easily pass underneath your large half-giant form as you walk in and out into more brightly lit streets. These you look up and there's a mixture here in this area of oil lanterns as well as arcane lanterns carrying flecks and flakes of lunarium as the basis of their fuel source. You can kind of see that some are hand-lit, some are, again, these arcane lanterns that have been replaced slowly over time as these city streets have expanded. And as you see it in the night, you can kind of see some of these buildings much more modern, others very ancient, and there's this strange mix of buildings that you can see that the very stark contrast between the two as you move through different areas of this portion of the city. But after about 5 or 10 minutes walk, you find yourself in a much more busy area now. Various peoples of the city now, locals in particular, have gathered around these areas, beginning to celebrate the oncoming ceremony the following day. The same ceremony that you all were invited the coming evening by Master Leopard to join him and his students to experience. But after that 10 or so minute walk, you come to a small kind of hole-in-the-wall tavern. And by hole-in-the-wall, the door frame itself appears to be very much, looks like somebody barreled through a wall and had just been covered over with a sheet of this dingy red cloak of sorts, as people just kind of push it aside like a bath curtain. And inside, you see a number of people beginning to gather around this large L-shaped bar, a number of dragonborn as well as lizard folk and small kobolds are running this this seemingly very bustling tavern. The crowd of people of all shapes and walks of life. You even see quite a collection of dwarves in this area, despite the fact that it is quite a ways from the predominant region. Some of which are wearing very ornate armors and things of that nature. Heavy armors as well as chainmail and like wartime armors, but they're well made and presentatory as opposed to the more utilitarian armors that you've seen in some of the other regions of the continent thus far. You also see a variety of dragonborn, humans, a handshake of half-elves, a handful of Irakakra, as they are predominantly from this area, particularly further hailing in the mesas originally. A lot of Irakakra tribes, as you know, hail from the furthest western or furthest eastern portion of the continent. And there's quite an eclectic mix, a handful of halfling folk as well as goblins and half-orcs. As that is also, it's quite a melting pot in this region, as you've come to find, as there's an eclectic mix, even more so than some of the other regions that you've seen thus far. Well, what would you all like to drink? I got the first round, if you don't mind. I've been chasing after those Hand of Faith fuckers for a while now. It's glad to see at least we took out a few of them.
My eyes light up. I'll say, want something tasty.
Right. Something sugary, sweet, and pretty strong. Got it. What do you two want?
The same.
Right, 2 of those. And you, little one?
I keep staring at the boomstick. I am so curious. I just want all the answers. Like, it's like that is my appetite right now. Like, this is the part of trash that no one has ever seen before, where the gears just want to consume and work out and just, you know, tinker. And so she's like, say it's fine, whatever, it's okay.
Right. 3 of those then. Got it. Anyway, and you watch as he kind of hops off of this stool. The stool itself almost as tall as he is, as he has to kind of climb up to it the first time and then hop off again, as he kind of rushes to the bar and manages to dart through the crowd that's kind of forming around this busy bar. It takes a few minutes, but he comes back and you see he's in between his fingertips. You see some of the joints of his fingers almost have this extended like quality, this scissor-like mechanism that kind of stretches out and allows them to come out further than the rest of the main hand itself, the palm. As he kind of wraps those extended fingers around the metal handles of these mugs, as he kind of jumps up and just barely manages to get them up on the table. Ugh. That's a busy bar right there. I had never been here around the time of the ceremony before. It's an interesting group, to say the least. Is that why you all are here?
Not quite.
Oh,
It's become one of our reasons.
Oh, interesting. Do you mind if I ask and inquire why you've come all the way to the far? You all seem like you're not from around here. Not to say that I'm a local by trade, but I do frequent this area as I research around these parts and do odd jobs from here and there.
Trying to find who killed my mom.
Well, that's a bit dark there, friend, but I hope you find the person responsible. That's some nasty business right there. Is that why you were chasing after them Hand of Fate folks?
I nod. Yeah. Distraction after distraction.
So the Hand of Fate is responsible, you're saying?
I nod slowly.
Interesting.
I don't know if they're responsible, but we have had a lot of setbacks on our journey, let's just say.
Right. So, you were, where are you coming from then?
Quite a distance away. Far to the west.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't been out west very far. I usually tend to stop once I get too far into the dunes, but I've gone as far north as the corner of the Vanaroots and into a little bit of them dwarven territories, and then down south. The furthest I've probably gone west is down into the marshes, and that's some nasty business down there. You definitely want to be careful you going around that place. Lots of foul and fey magic down there. Not really my cup of tea. I'm more of a tinkerer, you know. I only trust what I can handle and what I can see and physically understand.
Yes, tinkering. Let's explore this topic. How did you make the contraption, the boomstick that you call it?
Oh, this year? And he pulls the firearm from his backstrap. Oh yeah. Well, I wish I could give you a lot more of the details. And you watch as he kind of scratches his the metal dome of helmet that's a part of his head. As he kind of scratches, and you hear this kind of metal on metal grinding from the tip of his finger. What do you? First, I need to ask. Do you know much about the Warforged? And not just them the automatons that have recently been manufactured, but I mean actual Warforged, sentient Warforged. What do you know about them?
Do I know anything about them?
Go ahead and give me a history check. Let's see what you know.
That is a history. That is a 20 total.
Dirty 20. With a dirty 20, you would know that there is a distinct differentiation between what is known as an automaton and a warforged, scientifically speaking. But they often get mistaken or just lumped together all as warforged. But what is known as a modern warforged, a modern warforged or an automaton is a non-thinking, late designed, almost like a beast of burden, more so than a thinking entity. What you know of true Warforged, like the one that's standing and talking, or sitting and talking and having a conversation with you, as well as a handful of other ones like some of these shopkeepers that you met in Callista. Those Warforged were created possibly hundreds of years ago. That the technology of creating a sentient machine is ancient. Ancient technology that has been lost to time. And with that 20 roll, you would know that it was knowledge that was previously kind of shared and pioneered by a combination of ancient Elvish and Dwarven collaborative efforts.
I would just say that, basically, like, I know that you're probably a lot older than you let on.
Yeah, that's what people tell me. I done talked to the magistrate a few times, trying to learn all I can. You know, well, us among the what true Warforged is what we like to call ourselves, or the Awoken, is a more common term amongst ourselves. The few that I have met in my travels, a handful down in Callista, a few up in the Vanarus helping out the Dwarven folk, working for the folks in the Landscelt Alliance on occasion, and a handful as workers in the mines, as they don't seem to tire quite as easily as you fleshy folk. But Warforged, true Warforged, or the Awoken, well, we kind of just came to find ourselves in many different places around the continent. We don't really know how we got there. Some retain a few broken memories here and there, and exchange those amongst ourselves, trying to piece together the missing components of our lives. But nobody's really figured out the bigger picture. I know members of the magistrate, there are some specialized arcane engineers that really focus on that sort of thing. But this particular implement here that you're so curious about just happened to be one of them broken memories. And you know, it just kind of came to mind one day. I saw some random scrap when I was here out in the markets one day, you know, and I began to, out of pure curiosity, began to cobble it together. And I remembered that there's a formula of sorts, or this here ignition agent, as I like to call it. And on its own, loose in powder, it'll ignite and can cause some damage, especially around other flammable things. But you seal it off inside of a Titan space, and boom, it creates quite the big bang. You can, you got enough of it, you can make quite the detonative device. But I prefer to use it in smaller quantities, and if you can focus the energy that's released from it, you can use it to project small objects like this at high rates of speed. Don't tell me how I know it. I just, like I said, it's one of the loose memories bouncing around in this there skull.
Well, I can certainly empathize with not quite knowing how you came to be or anything like that. Do you have any other memories from the past at all?
Not a huge amount. That was one of the clearer ones. I do have kind of an innate desire to kind of travel as much as possible, and I don't know if that's just a personal thing or if that's something from my past life that I just don't remember. But I can say that on a personal level, my one of my foremost desires is to learn about myself and find out where I come from. I believe a lot of us Awoken Warforged feel the same way. There's always that innate desire to know where we came from. I guess it's that you fleshy folk kind of call it the meaning of life. You know, the purpose and our origins. I think, you know, any sentient creature kind of has a similar feeling to some degree. Us more so than anything, because we don't really know how we got there, and we just came into being all, you know, ready and raring to go.
Well, I can say that even though our I'm sure our history and our past is significantly different. We're very similar in a lot of ways. I'm going through a similar journey myself.
Well, that's good to hear. It's always nice to meet a like-minded person. But as far as this here device, it's yeah, it took a bit of time for sure. Why, are you curious about making one for yourself?
Yes, if you would be more comfortable with sharing the maybe the equation or the formula, materials, I would love to try to make one of my own, you see, and then I kind of pull out my, I don't know, just at least my old crossbow. I assume I haven't tossed it out yet, and other things that I've tinkered with and made just to kind of show them off. I am a tinkerer. I didn't have a lot to my name growing up, so everything I had to make for myself.
I see that. I noticed you also have that little critter friend of you, the little mechanical one that's bouncing around there.
Panda.
Panda.
The panda will greet themselves.
Very interesting. I can see you, yeah, it seems like they have a bit more of autonomy than the ones that I'm used to. A bit more mobility, too. I'm actually very curious on sharing information with you. I'd love to, you know, pick your brain. I'm sure you're interested in this. But, at the same time, I wish I could spend it. It would take a considerable amount of time to sit here and you know, hash this out and pen this out. But perhaps if we're traveling the same way with a similar, you know, goal set in mind, maybe we can share that information along the way.
I look at Floof and Dazes with my puppy red eyes.
I raise my glass in a, I don't know, approval, I guess.
I mimic Dazes' motion.
And I also take a large swig.
I do that too.
Well, might I ask, after you finish up here, I'm assuming, you know, after the ceremony tomorrow evening, what's your intended destination? Or are you planning to hang around here a while longer?
I don't think we're quite sure yet.
We're trying to find some guy.
Some guy, you say? You gotta be a bit more specific than that.
I look to the other two.
He's an important figure, let's just say.
Interesting.
But I believe we're waiting on some relevant information before we know where to next focus.
Interesting. In a couple of days' time, I'm planning on heading further east, back towards the coast, out through the mesas specifically. There's supposedly a group of people out that way. They, what did I call them? You look as he flips through some various satchels on the side of his belt as he flips through, looking for a small notepad that he has with various sketches and things. And as you watch him pull this open, you see this sketchbook, open up, and it is a detailed series of drawings and sketches and things like that. Very finely detailed notes and things of various locations that he's been, observations, sketches of particular people in beautiful detail, almost like a photograph pinned with like a charcoal pencil on these scraps of parchment bound in this sinew wrapped leather notebook that he's got opened up. Let me see here. What was the name of those folks? They were those winged folks, the Arakakra. Yeah, those ones. There's supposedly some further into the mesas. That's their territory of sorts. I got to be careful going out that way. I don't want to offend, but they're supposedly supposed to have some interesting knowledge. Give me just a moment here.
Can I roll to try to remember where we heard that before? Because I don't recall exactly. I feel like we've
Sure.
talked there.
Yeah, give me a general intelligence check.
Oh, wait. Yes.
15. You remember this being mentioned by Master Leopard as the potential destination of Gamil, as out into the mesas east of the city. The Almatar mesas, the large rock formations that you see mixed in between the various dunes that lead up to them. But you are known that he was going to speak with some of the tribesfolk out that way as well.
Okay. Well then, upon hearing him mention the Arakakra, I lift my head a bit and I say, well, I do believe we might actually be going in the same direction. Our source of information was going to meet with the Arakakra as well, I believe, at some point.
Fascinating. Yeah, the Herman tribe. That's the ones. I was told that they have quite the extensive knowledge shared among them. It's whereas folks of the magistrate, the dynasty, and the church seem to keep, relatively good records, written accounts, but not a lot past the various devastations nearly a millennia ago, back when the time of the cataclysm. Past that, a lot of the written records were not well maintained, and if they were, only in bits and pieces. But the tribes of the Almutar seem to have kept a verbal record of sorts. So they may have bits and pieces of more information than most. If rumors are to be believed.
Interesting.
And you see him kind of flip through a notebook as he's saying this to you. And you see a hand-drawn map on the... And I will go ahead and pull up the map for you guys real quick. So, as he explains to you all... as you sit kind of where this large tower is, at the northernmost part of the Jamila River, the Almator Mesas are these large rock formations that are surrounded by dunes on all sides. But he's got some particular formations drawn and then nestled on the eastern side by the coasts of the sea to the far right, the Sea of Tusk. Written in... does anybody in the group speak Draconic?
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
No.
Nope.
Anyone who's proficient in history, you'd be able to recognize it as Draconic, but not necessarily recognize what it says. But as he kind of points to it, he...
Guys, it's Draconic.
Yeah, you would recognize like the look of it, like in the same way that you'd be able to recognize if something was written in Spanish or written in German or written in Japanese or Chinese for the most part, but do not necessarily know what the individual words or symbols mean.
Wait, sorry. I thought I didn't. That I would recognize it, but I don't know what it actually says because I don't speak Draconic.
Right, you would just be able to recognize that it is Draconic, like just from the symbols that you've seen, but you don't necessarily know what it says. But you can recognize what the language is.
Yeah, for sure.
You watch as he takes a big swig of what seemingly smells like some sort of metallic and oil-like mixture. Not so much as a drink, but more so as a as you see him kind of lift up this sort of face shield, these slits that you've seen thus far that almost looks like the face of a helmet, kind of lifts up, and you see this ovular, what you imagine is some sort of intake or mouth, and then above that you see those two beady blue eyes kind of just, sitting backwards, that kind of rotate and focus and unfocus as he changes direction, and they kind of move around in this sort of aperture-like nature. Very strange. You would, from your perspective, it looks like this mechanical, like, flower bud that just kind of opens and closes as they close. You can tell he's more focused on a particular item. As they open up, as he's intaking some of this liquid through this ovular hole before the shield kind of falls down again, just now covering up all but the soft blue glow that you see of a pair of eyes, seemingly.
I squint at this whole thing.
Did you have a question there, friend? As he looks to you, Floof.
What are you?
I am a Warforged. As far as I know, in this day and age, an explorer, or mercenary, a tinkerer.
Can I pick him up? What about the fingers or my palm to pick him up?
Are you gonna try to pick him up?
I'm trying to pick him up. I want to smell him.
Well, goodness gracious, pal. Okay. As you lift him up, he's quite heavy and dense. He probably weighs. In fact, give me a strength check.
Oh shit.
As you lift him up, you're able to lift him up with your strength, but he is quite a bit heavier than you realized. 13, you're able to, maintain your balance as you kind of lift him up and, give him the once over and sniff around. You get the scent of, obviously a strong metallic, but this mixture of, obviously the oil-like substance or the liquid that he is intaking. Oh, Jade, thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate it, friend. I hope you're doing well.
What's good, Jade?
Thanks for the raid.
But as you observe him further, hey, yeah, I am not good with heights here, friend. Do you mind put me back on the stool there? I'm happy to answer any questions. Just put me down, please.
I'll put him down. You're
Ugh.
weird.
You're a real touchy-feely type there, aren't you?
Touchy-feely?
Yeah. You like to talk with your hands.
I stare at my hands and I don't get it. I talk with mouth.
Well, to each their own. But yeah, you also get the scent, as you smell them over. You get this scent of like a charged air. Like, the best description I would have is like, if you've ever been in an area where there's like a generator or an area where there's a lot of filtration going on and you get that strong scent of charged air and ozone as it passes into your nostrils. It kind of tingles as you sniff around the chest cavity and around the what seemingly is the head of this Warforged. You get that sort of scent. It's unlike anything that you've smelled before.
I will log the scent in my scent log in my brain.
You also get the scent of sulfur, saltpeter, and this like scent of like burning material. Seemingly, especially like as you kind of pass by his boomstick that he's got sitting on the tabletop, and around some of the leathers and around the arms and things like that, you get that same sort of mixture of whatever this ignition source is for his weapon.
Okay. So I think you're on fire.
Yeah, I do tend to smell a bit from if I've been busy, you know, making this here substance for my weapon. It does leave a bit of a lingering odor, but I don't have the best of scent glands. I can see quite a ways, you know, and focus in and out. I'm pretty good at that, but yeah, I don't have the best of scent, and I can't taste anything. It all just yeah, it's all the same to me.
I've lost interest. He's using too many big words and stuff that I don't understand. I go to the bar to get us more drinks.
Nice. Dazes and Trash, is there anything else you would like to ask or you're curious about?
I'm just listening.
Well, as I said, in a couple of days' time, I'm going to be leaving Tafar and heading out towards the mesas. I'm specifically looking for, and he kind of flips through his notebook. There's some markings on the outside of my body. I can't really show you it. I have to take off all my leathers and things. But, yeah, it's this here series of glyphs. I've identified where they come from, but everybody I have asked says that they're way beyond their purview. Even some of the higher end scholars of the magistrate, at least the ones who would give me the time of day. And as he shows you, you see, you would recognize at least some of the glyphs as draconic, and then some of them you would recognize as elvish, as they are the most common. Does anyone speak Dwarvish?
I speak Dwarvish.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Give me... This is going to be a pretty high DC, but I will give you advantage because you speak Dwarvish, but this is ancient Dwarvish. Go ahead and give me a... Give me a history check. You can have advantage.
Okay. Okay. What was that? History. That is 18 total.
With an 18, it's hard to parse together. What little you can get out of it, you get a handful of words. A lot of these symbols are ancient dwarvish glyphs more so than the common dwarvish tongue that you've heard. Much like the ancient elvish that you've seen of the past, that you also see on here. But the primary, the dwarvish runes that you see, you see one word that kind of jumps out at you that you kind of guess based on its shape and configuration to state surveillance. And one other rune you see is the word hunter.
Surveillance and hunter. Just writing that down.
And Floof, you speak Elvish, do you not?
I do. Yes.
You can go ahead and give me a history check with advantage as well, if you'd like, to see if you can parse together some of these Elvish, ancient Elvish that you see written down here on this notepad.
Ew. Have I got a 7? With advantage.
You have no idea. You know it's Elvish, but like it is. You know that it is ancient in origin. It is. It's like the equivalent of like even older than what we would consider old English, like Shakespearean, like even older than that.
Okay.
As far as like stretch back in history, to have some sort of general comparison for you guys to kind of, you know, as an analogy, it is very old.
Okay. I hand everybody a new drink.
Well, that's good to know. Surveillance and hunter. Okay. More than I've gotten in the past couple of months, that, don't you know? Well, you know, what do you all know of the Highlands further north of once you get out of this here desert region?
Not much as far as I know.
Well, that's kind of where I came to be of sorts. I found myself amongst some caves further north along the river, and didn't know who I was or what I was. I just knew that I was there, and had a handful of like foggy memories and here and there, and I found some scrolls and some text, and one of the first things that I saw in there was the word billet. It looked like it was an old mining operation, and there were some charts in there, so I just kind of adopted the name. I assumed that's what it was because it was around where I was, and so hence the name. Trash, you would know that oftentimes, with that going off of your history roll before, a lot of the times that these awoken Warforged, these ancient Warforged, a lot of the times that their namesake, the names that they adopt, if not specifically given by a person who finds them and, you know, successfully reactivates one of these creatures or these individuals, then a lot of the times they will adopt the first name that has significance to them, either the first thing they see or find, kind of like an imprinting, if you will. So it kind of tracks with what you've seen some research in your time at the Magistrate. But yeah, if you folks are you know, heading that way in the near future, I'd be happy to travel alongside you, and perhaps we can exchange some research, some relevant information, and you know, help each other out a bit.
Fine with me.
We'll know more after the ceremony tomorrow, right?
What you discussed with Master Leopard is that he had asked you all to meet him the following evening, or just before dark, is when they were going to start heading from the dojo where you all met for the first time. That they were sort of in this ceremonial arrival to their destination for this ceremony. And saw the preparation, you saw a lot of the students of the dojo getting ready, getting more of these ceremonial armors together while you were there, and polishing up some of these ceremonial weapons. A lot more like glamorous than your standard actual, you know, weapons, but these are more like parade armors and formal wear, if you will. Like, they're still armors, but much more dolled up for the ceremony. Well, I'll tell you what. I've got a few things I need to gather before I make our venture out there. You know, even though the ceremony is going on, it's not really my cup of tea. I just kind of observe from afar, and but I don't mind, you know, meeting back up at a later date if you all are interested in joining me in my little journey to the east.
Yeah, let's touch base and meet up after we have a chance to attend. We'll know better where we're needed, and hopefully our situations align and we can travel together.
That's wonderful. It sounds great. You know, it always helps to have a few trained hands, and I'm very curious about your companion, as I'm sure you're curious about this here weapon. And, you know, perhaps in that time we can share, you know, bits and pieces here and there. And it can be fruitful for the both of us. Excellent.
Are you staying around here in the meantime?
Yeah. I'm actually staying just a couple blocks that way at the a small bar. It's called the Smile of Ollie. The bar that he's referring to is the one that you had spoken with the Green Dragonborn when you first learned about the dojo, the more shady bar.
Gotcha.
So you would have strong recollection of what he's referring to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that. Go ahead.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, you would have been there the previous morning. or that morning. So within the last 12 or so hours.
No, I heard it was this morning. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll say to him, oh yeah, we were just there this morning. It turned out.
Okay, well that makes sense there. Well, it's up to you. I'll be leaving at first light. Coming shortly after this here ceremony. If you'd like to meet back up here, we can arrange some stuff. I need to gather some more supplies. Specifically, I need to make some more cartridges for this here bad boy.
Yeah. I think that sounds like it would work. I believe.
Radio. Well, it's been a pleasure, friends. I will see you all in due time, and hopefully we can make this a fruitful journey for the bulk of us.
Yes, indeed. See you soon, Billet.
Radio. And he finishes his cup of liquid and then straps the boomstick over his back with this leather strap over his shoulder. And you can see, like, as he steps down with this device, it's although small, like in the hands of a normal sized individual, it'd be like the size of an extended pistol. But in his hands, it has the same sort of proportions as a rifle.
How is he wearing the boomstick, or how did he put it on his pack or back or whatever?
If you look on the image, his image, you can see there's kind of a leather strap that goes on a pair of brass rings that extend from the about halfway down the barrel to the back of the butt end behind the firing mechanism.
Okay, so the reason I ask is I see it looks like on the side of the backpack he kind of has one just chill, or like I'm assuming he just has one, but regardless, did he put it around his neck or did he like stuff it in his backpack when he put it away?
Give me an investigation check.
Okay. Not good.
It's hard to say. You see some bits and pieces sticking out of the bag. It's hard to say what they are.
All right. I won't try to steal the gun for you, Quirky, or Trash, because I don't feel confident enough.
That would not have gone well, but I appreciate the spirit.
Uh-huh.
Well, until we meet again, friends, I will see you, and I bid you a fond farewell. But do take care and try to avoid them. They're hand of faith fuckers. They're not the nicest bunch in the world.
As we have seen.
Right. They're a nasty lot. But until we meet again, and you see he kind of like darts off. Moving rather fast for a small creature of his size. But you can see him kind of like moving and darting through. A few people are like, oh, like almost stepping on him as he kind of like darts in between legs of some of the taller tavern goers. But as he leaves your sight, leaves you all at the tavern, what would you all like to do? You have, it is at this point pretty close to mid-evening, midnight-ish. Your rendezvous back at the dojo would be later the following day. So you do have a bit of time. What would you like to do?
Sleep.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. Above the table. So the ceremony is tomorrow night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you were told by Master Leopard to meet just before dusk back at the dojo.
Okay.
So you have
Got it.
maybe,
A day.
yeah, like a full, like, good full day before meeting up with them.
Okay.
I don't know. We really went shopping, so if anything, I think I might just stay and just try to, even though we are thinking about meeting up with him later. I think I just want to try to focus and write down my notes and start to try to mathematically work out what's going on with the boomstick, like how the mechanism works and all that.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna. I'll say to Floof and Dazes, that I'll be back later. I'm gonna get out of sight, and I want to turn into a rat if I can use my
Okay.
wild shape. And
Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna use this time to look around the city and like go back to kind of my woodsy observational kind of instincts, just to kind of look around and see what's and just kind of gather information through observation, you know.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Okay.
And you would need to use the rat's perception.
Oh, okay.
So let me look that up real quick, and I can tell you what their bonus is. Don't remember.
Oh, that makes sense. So my brain's the same, but my, I guess,
right.
physiological.
So your intelligence, charisma, and wisdom stay the same, but your physical traits differ.
Mhm.
With the exception of wisdom, you would use the bonuses of the creature, but your
Okay.
natural, like your mental faculties remain the same.
Okay.
There are no bonuses, so whatever that is.
So just a 15 then.
So 15. Still not bad.
Yeah.
You scurry around at this height. You can smell and you can see all variety of things. And you get a different perspective, kind of scampering through the crowds, avoiding some of the larger individuals. You see a variety of different individuals in this area. And for the first time, you see, as you kind of scurry through, you see a contingent of heavily armored dwarves as you're kind of passing through around this area. Not unlike the smaller group that you saw in the tavern, but here you see probably 24 in a group together, heavily armed, wearing either scale mail, chainmail, or like a couple of them wearing full plate, carrying large two-handed long swords or great swords, war hammers, things of that nature, as well as like secondary weapons around their belts and things like that. And as you're kind of scurrying through, you also see, for the first time, perhaps in many, many years, and definitely in your travels since having left the Alien Walt Forest, you see a contingent of full-blooded elves. A rare sight, even in a city of this size, as full-blooded elves. Most of the time you see around Irindal, it is a rare sight. You see mostly mixed blood lineages of some degree, human, elves and dwarves, elves and orcish tribes of various natures together. Some sort of mixed lineage, but here, very clearly, the sharp, elongated ears, the very slender, chiseled jaw, the sharp, centered eyes, and the tall, proud presence of some of these elves. And you see they are garbed in cloth robes, wearing a lot of them the symbol of Helion, one of the most predominant gods in Irondal, and the patron god of the Empire on the opposite, basically the opposite side of the continent of the Rosewell Empire, a location that you are not that familiar with, but in passing, but you are familiar with this sort of symbol that you've seen occasionally passing through various monks and priests, sometimes wearing this symbol, this large spherical raised dome with protrusions jutting out like a magnificent sun. Helion, the goddess of life and light and heat and the sun, and essentially one of the most powerful gods in the known pantheon here on Irondal. They go by a variety of names around the globe, but here on Irondal they are known as Helion.
Okay.
And in fact, the world as a whole, its name, Helios, is a derivative of this goddess.
Okay. I might keep a particularly watchful eye or some curiosity towards the elves for sure. Maybe I'll linger in their vicinity a bit to see if they're saying or doing anything interesting.
Okay. Are you following them?
So they're moving through the city. They're kind of like walking around.
Yes, you can see they're heading towards the palisade.
All right.
The large central area.
I suppose I would follow for a little bit, trying to be as discreet and huntery as possible for my wood times.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a stealth check, and it'd be so. Just go ahead and roll a d20 and add a +1
Okay.
for the rat's dexterity.
I got an 8 then.
Then 8. It's not a super high DC, as you are a small creature, not specifically looking for you. But you notice a couple times as you get too close that inadvertently some of the elves, one in particular, turns over and sees you kind of crawling beside a older female elf, turns and just kind of sneers at you and shoos you away, attempting to kick you away. Go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw for me. You try to duck out of the way, but you catch the sharpened heel of this elf as you do so, and you take 2 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
Which
I will
exceeds the hit points of the rat.
Oop.
So as you get kicked over and into the wall, you feel yourself lose focus and concentration on the rat form that you've taken, and as you make contact with the wall, you wild shape back into your normal form, drawing much more attention from some of these elves, particularly the one that had kicked you away, as well as two others flanking her.
Okay. I'll stand up. Are they investigating me, or have they just continued along? Did they see me turn, or did they just kick me and then I turned?
No, they weren't paying attention. She kicked you away.
Okay.
And then obviously seeing you get kicked away and hitting this adjacent curb or wall, this little short half wall of one of the adjacent buildings, having taken those couple points of bludgeoning damage, was enough to kick you out of your rat form.
Okay.
Because when you go to 0 hit points in wild shape, you revert back.
I guess what I'm wondering is if is it instantaneous stuff where they saw me turn, or did they continue along their business? Okay.
Yeah, she saw you, and then now that this seemingly the small rat turned into this large Goliath,
Okay.
it's pretty obvious that something's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'll get up and kind of rub my head and look and why you kick me?
What are you doing? Why are you following us?
Haven't seen elves since Ellenwald Forest. Weird.
What is this shape changer doing here? Explain yourself.
Just looking around. Never been here. Just weird things being sneaky.
Go ahead and give me a deception check.
Oh, dang it! -2. It was a nat 20 -2.
Right. Still nat 20.
Yeah.
Looking up at you, you see there's an initial bit of confusion, but thankfully with your general tone and your
Stupidity.
yeah, they kind of just view you as more dumb than hostile.
Just as planned.
Whether intentional or not, it seems to have worked in your favor this particular time, as they just look at you like they're looking at an ununderstanding child, or an ignorant child. Leave us be. Be on your way and do not follow us further.
Okay.
As you're turning away, Floof, out of the corner of your eye, among this contingent of elves, a familiar face is among them.
Ooh, okay.
It was several days, if not more than a week ago now, before your long voyage out of the Landscale Alliance. But given the circumstances and the heated escape, it's hard to mistake such a face. The sense of a tinge of fear, if not a tinge of concern, rolls over you as this individual, you're reminded of this face once more. Pull them up once again. Oh, crap. Not that one. Give me a sec. I need to do it on the... Oh. The hell? Is that me? Oh. That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it on the player one that I'm trying not to modify. Give me just a moment here. Same face of one of the Inquisitors that had assaulted you all on your escape out of the city. The tight, blood-red hair tied into a bun, and the intense scarring of burns on one side of the left-hand side of the face. The markings of these pale but grayish, almost pale white grayish skin, and sharp eyes and lips of this elvish man, wearing the same sort of silverish pale armor and black cloak that you saw the night you all barely escaped were it not for the assistance of your recent associate.
Was this
who-
from back in Mirstadt or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the Inquisitors that had chased you all and attempted to arrest you.
Okay. I'll make a note of this, but not. I'm done following them. I don't want to continue following them. I'll head back to the party area, I guess.
Okay. While this is going on, Trash and Dazes, what are you doing?
About how long is he gone?
I would say maybe 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay. It's like midnight-ish.
Yeah, so at this point, after you all have had a few drinks, a bit of food, just some pub grub from this Soft Shores Tavern, just as you're beginning to get a bit concerned that Floof had, ran off and disappeared among the crowds, you watch as he returns back in his typical Goliath form.
Alright. Well, I guess when he comes in, I'll just I guess I'll just say, is everything okay?
I'll have a very visibly confused face. Like, I feel like a lot of interesting things I've seen, maybe, but can't put everything together. I'll share that I saw some dwarves in armor and full-blood elves. And then I'll say, I think I saw Inquisitor Elf from Mirstadt. I'll communicate all this as best as possible in the Floof way.
Trash, as he mentions the Inquisition and your experience with them back in Mirstadt, another strong tinge of panic comes over you. What do you do?
I was writing in my notebook, and I just kind of drop my writing implement, and I'm just kind of silent, and I'm just not reactive. I'm just kind of so still. I look like a statue. I'm just so taken by this fear that I have no reaction except just to be in almost like a fugue state.
Aziz, what do you do as Floof comes back and explains what's going on?
Well, I guess there's a lot of information to take in. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know really what to do with this information, 'cause it's a little late to act on it. I guess I'll ask Floof, like exactly where did he see them, and sort of in what I guess rough direction were they headed?
Stopper. What or would they have been heading towards? I guess I don't know. You might have told me out there, like where I saw them heading.
You would have noticed, having followed them, that they were heading in general about the same direction as the contingent of dwarves, just in a separate group heading towards the palace.
Okay. I'll say all look like heading towards big building, big building.
Well, I don't. I'm unsure if it would be a good idea to be in range of them or be near them, considering our how our last meeting with them ended. So I suppose if they were moving in that direction, we it may be a good idea to steer clear. But I suppose this does raise concerns for tomorrow, because I do believe that our meeting with the dojo master and to help him with the ceremony, I feel like that. I don't know for sure, but I feel like that might be in that area tomorrow. So this is I don't know. This is
Bad, weird.
I think bad, weird. Yeah, that sums it up pretty well. But
Is that where we're going tomorrow? Is that like we'll cross paths with them?
I'm not sure.
Based on the information that you were given by Master Leopard, then it is uncertain where the ceremony is being held in general. You just know that you all are meeting at the dojo to head in sort of a parade fashion towards where the formal portion of the ceremony is being held.
Okay. Well, in any case, I think it would be wise to steer clear as much as possible, at least.
He might recognize us. I don't. Did he? Do you think he saw you, Floof?
Well, I'll say I barely saw him. Could I recall if he held a look towards me or saw me?
Go ahead and give me a. You can give me an insight check.
Okay.
19. You're not quite certain whether they saw you or not.
Okay. I'll say not sure. I saw him, so he could have seen me.
I don't know. We have to be careful. I don't think we we can't be recognized. We can't cross paths with him. It's just we're not ready. We can't take him on.
I burst into tears. So sorry for blowing cover. I'm drunk and I'm I'm sorry.
On 2 drinks.
I'm a little emotional. Okay.
As you all discuss the matter at hand as well as your plans for the following day, is there anything between the time in the morning or the midday or early afternoon that you all would like to try to accomplish, or do you just want to hop, skip, and jump to your meeting with the master of the dojo?
I do want to, just like I guess before we go to bed, I just wanted to see if I can like take a closer look at my my quarterstaff, my original quarterstaff,
Okay.
and I don't know, just like inspect it a bit. Because look at the
Maker's Mark.
maybe look at the maker's mark. Maybe look in the details of like the craftsmanship of it.
Okay.
See if I can see anything. I don't know.
Sure.
Unusual to what I would consider a normal quarterstaff, I guess.
Right. Go ahead and give me an investigation check as you do try to do as thorough a once over as possible. An 11. You don't notice any fine details, as it's not really your normal cup of tea. You understand the usage of weapons, but not necessarily their craftsmanship, their make, and the details of their function outside of their use case in combat. The one thing you do notice is having had it pointed out to you, is the Maker's Mark that you take into more detail as you observe the quarterstaff. Its finely etched ovular shape has some even finer lines etched in between in sort of a strange stone-like pattern, and as you begin to look at it more, it becomes more clear that it is the shape of the outer back of a shell in its design. Like, it's made to look like the back of a tortoise shell.
Oh, that's cool.
And you see, ever so faintly etched and very worn, as this staff has seen a great amount of use, you begin to see some very finely etched runes around the outside rim of that shell, almost completely around it. You don't understand what the runes mean. As you look around the outer... Does anyone speak Celestial?
Definitely not me.
No.
Okay. Well, there's a little bit of information. Based on what you can see, you get the understanding that it is a very ancient language. The only word that you see, Dazes, the only grouping of letters that jumps out at you as familiar in any way is... Just a moment here. Is the name of your master, the one who you studied the martial arts with after your extended lowest point in your life, the name Duncan, etched among... Pardon me?
It's written in this language that I don't.
No, it's written in
Understand.
common, but it is written among this trail of celestial,
Okay.
and that's what you gather.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's all I want to do.
Trash, Floof, is there anything you would like to do, or do we just want to time skip to tomorrow evening?
I've thought about going back out as like a bird or something this time, which I probably should have done in the first place. LOL, stupid. But I'm not.
You're a level 5 druid, correct? Believe
Yeah,
you're level
but-
5. Unfortunately, you cannot use flying animals yet. It's
Okay.
a Circle of the
well,
Land druid, yes, that is.
That works. I was gonna say I feel like I failed and maybe blew our cover anyway, so I'm afraid to go back out. So I'm chilling.
Okay. And Trash?
I'm like attempting to take like a shower. If you can picture that scene from like Spirited Away where the river god is like mucking up the water, I'm basically blobbing in it and just trying to like clean myself as best as I can. I don't want to smell
Dilute
me,
yourself.
I'm trying really hard to clean and like wash away bits of me that is actually trash and like not smell like me, not be perceived as me. And I'm like nervously getting ready for bed, but I'm not sleeping. I'm tossing and turning, and I don't get a lot of sleep.
As you that evening are bathing in are you doing this in the river, or are you doing this in like a basin somewhere in like at your temporary accommodations?
I assumed they would have some sort of kind of wash basin or something, so it wouldn't be in such
Okay.
my assumption at least is that they would have some sort of like washing area, or
Sure.
and if they don't, then I'd have to go, I suppose, find a place that I could go do that.
You have no problems, going down and requesting, some warm water to wash yourself. They do give you a bit of a look, like, when does this sort of work? Are they just gonna melt? Is this like Jello? Is this, is this like ice cream? Like,
Pretty much, yes. And then I just walk.
there's this. Yes, of course. And they bring you, a basin of warm water and some terry claws to again, as they bring you these implements, they're like, how is this? And then they just decide not to question it and just hand them over to you, along with some various salts and oil, small amounts of oils and a small, like a few use bar of soap that has sort of a lavender scent to it. As you're bathing, trying to sort of extract the remnants of your travels, the various debris that you've gathered over your time from, your excursion all the way from the Landscale Alliance down through the outer rims of the Ehlenwald Forest into the down into Mirstadt, the city of trade within the Landscale Alliance, and then of course across the southern seas of Irindal, and now up and along the Jamila River, across Arcane Locomotive, and now into the heavy trade capital or center of the northern portion of the dynasty. You've gathered quite a number of loose debris and material, and through the sewers, might I add, of Mirstadt, nonetheless. Picking up debris, and you find some leftover scales from the fish folk that you encountered down in the sewers of all things. Bits and pieces of various creatures, perhaps even tiny droplets of oxidized blood of, you're not sure if it's your companions or creatures that you've slain, but blood nonetheless. You also take the time to clean off Panda a bit, as they too have become sort of globuled or covered in sort of gunk and filth of your travels. As you take your time to contemplate and think and decompress from your travel here in this wash basin, the soft moonlight glows from a outer window, and as it reflects in the light and your sort of softened form that kind of is typically reminiscent of your rattling desire to take this shape, your normal shape, even though your amoeboid form can take whatever shape you would like. You choose to take the shape, but in this wash basin that becomes a bit difficult as the composition of your body begins to soften and take more of a abstract form. But as the debris and the silt falls and slowly slips from your form, you remember in your mind's eye and your thoughts begin to, as you begin to relax and you think, the warm water beginning to wash away the fears and the anxiety from the continued travel. As you think upon your time with your teacher, your friend, as warm memories and thoughts permeate your soul, or whatever you understand as the core of your being, and that soft light of the moon over the deserts just faintly edges in through the open, not even a window, but just an open, like, sort of steam vent in the wall, down upon your now a loosened form, and you stare at your hand, now recalling the moment you had with Dr. Nightingale in the desert, looking at yourself in the bathwater, focusing your mind and your energies upon what seemingly would be where your hand would be as you attempt to form it into a more stable form despite the warm, soothing waters. You focus your energies, the arcane, into the end of what would be your fingertips in its normal state. You see, for an ever so faint moment, soft tinge of blue begin to echo towards the end of your fingertips before fading back to the yellowish green form. As thoughts and memories begin to float back and forth and contemplate in your mind. Is there anything else you would like to do before wrapping up for the evening?
No, I think that's kind of, I have like a soup of thoughts that I'm swimming in.
Both physically and metaphorically. Very well. Well, if there's no other items of business between now and your scheduled time of meeting, I will assume that you take this time. You can go ahead and take a long rest, restore your spell slots, your hit points, any of your features, as you take the time needed to recover as much as possible before your scheduled meeting with Master Leopard back at the Silver Scale Dojo. You take the time to have a decent breakfast, you know, a hearty lunch, you know, taking the time and energy you can to relax and collect your thoughts and discuss what you're going to do. Potentially, if running into these inquisitors in the future, I would imagine. But as you draw closer to your time to meet, you gather your things and begin heading towards the Silver Scale Dojo.
Can we back up just a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go, of course.
To lunch, because...
Sure.
I think we still have some sandwiches, and I think we need to get rid of those.
I
kind of
Give me a Constitution save. No.
I eat them all. No, I'm just...
Okay. I would imagine that, yes, you would consume as many of the sandwiches as you could before they would go sour.
Yeah, okay.
They do have a bit more second and third day funk on them. But nonetheless, you watch Floof eat kind of like another animal observing another to make sure that the food is safe. You watch Floof devour them without effort, and you're like, all right, this is happening. They do have a bit of that aged funk to them, but a good funk. Sort of that intensified umami flavor of being sealed.
Oh boy.
Kind of like mushrooms or aged meat. But,
Okay. Sorry, back to focus.
No, you're good. That was 100% worth it. As you gather your things and make the trek back to the dojo, upon your arrival, you see a number of the students now in their formal attire, their ceremonial armors, ceremonial weapons, ceremonial garb. You see Master Leopard wearing his dress attire, a fine satin tunic beneath a satin green tunic to kind of accentuate his almost like the oxidized patina that you would see on like a piece of copper or brass, that greenish color to kind of accent his bronze scales as you watch, and he's beginning to don his breastplate that has this intricate filigree around the outside, carrying with him a double-sided glaive. And unlike the dress weapons, the ceremonial weapons, this is a true glaive, and as you get close, you can see the wear and tear on this weapon. It has been repaired multiple times, but it has, you can see as he carries it proudly, it has a significance to him. And even though it has some wear and tear in use, it is still a fine weapon, and looks like it, you know, had he used this in your confrontation, might not have gone as well. Might have been a bit more dangerous.
It would have been a TPK.
Possibly. But nonetheless, as you approach, he eyes you all. It is good to see you, friends. How are you doing?
Okay.
Great. Slept good.
That is wonderful to hear. We're just about to leave. We are heading towards the Colosseum on the outskirts of the city. It is one of the few occasions when it is used these days. It was... In the past, it was an arena of sorts for the less fortunate of the city. Now it is viewed as hallowed ground for those who fought and died in the conflict that freed our great nation, our continent even. But I'll explain further, or perhaps our leader, the Duke himself will explain further upon the arrival there. Many people will be gathering in this Colosseum. And my students are excited, nervous, but excited to demonstrate in this ceremony. Representing the Dragonborn of old and their struggles in our fight for freedom, if you will.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
You watch as he cries out to his students, "Attention! March!" You watch as they all, without any sort of hesitation, get into formation. And he walks with you all behind, a few steps back, but is sort of marching in sequence with them to try to keep pace with them and make sure that they are marching. They are silent, but you can see the great pride in these young soldiers and young trainees as they march side by side, shoulder to shoulder, proudly towards the main street. And you see this.
Like to also march at that pace.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a performance check to see if you can match their rhythm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to match the rhythm, not like
Right,
not
right.
their,
It's not a super
not
high
their poses
DC.
and such. Okay. Sorry, what am I rolling again?
Performance.
Oh, performance. Oh, let's see how this goes. At 20.
You match without effort as you gather the rhythm of this martial step, this sort of rhythm that you've learned over the many years from your own teacher, that, you know, although this is a parade march, that this is a march of combat, that this is a formation, that there is still a structure, there is an art form to combat itself that you yourself understand very well, as you march beside, and Master Leopold gives you a strong but appreciative nod as you pick up that rhythm almost instinctively. And you can have a point of inspiration for that.
Nice.
But you all march your way eastward, well past the city, past the many stalls, as people begin to gather and watch as your group proceeds forward. And as you are marching, you feel like you're that strong sense of presence, that certainty begins to grow and grow as people are smiling and nodding, giving words of encouragement to these young men as you see this sort of pride, not like over prideful, but a strong sense of self and pride is instilled in this ceremony, more so than anything else, to these young soldiers and these students. It takes, in this sort of ceremonial fashion, a bit longer to get to your destination. It's about a 30 to 45 minute journey across the city before you even reach the outskirts, where you're now heading deeper into this desert road, as the well-paved road has ended, and now you're in this sandy, rocky, still well-traveled, but not formal road. But you're getting deeper into this rocky, craggy plateau region where the rock formations are beginning to surround by drifting sand blowing in from all sides of the desert. And You can see now that the sun is beginning to set in the west as a lot of these higher formations are casting long shadows outwards towards the sea, which is just off. You can see the faintest light as it shimmers on the outer edge from where you are now, but still many, many miles. But the land between these large rock formations is relatively flat. The dunes here not quite as expansive as those further west, but you see this glimmer ever so faintly before you begin to fall in elevation and then come back up, so you lose sight of that glimmer far off in the distance, many, many miles away, just on the very edge of your periphery with your passive perception. But just as the light begins to fade, you watch as oil lanterns begin to be lit along the path by various people, well garbed dragonborn, each carrying these ancient looking copper lanterns, oil lanterns. Nothing is of the arcane nature that you've become more accustomed to in some of the other cities of this continent. These are ancient, well maintained but very old devices, meant to represent the light of ancient times more so than they are to be of any sort of practical use. They're more ceremonial than practical. But as you walk along this path and you begin to turn a little bit northwards is when you begin to see, carved out of the ancient rocky mesa, one of the tallest in this particular area, just on the outskirts of the city, carved directly out of this flat plateau, you see the entrance to a well lit by torches and oil lanterns, and this procession, this near silent procession that as it gets closer, the silence becomes almost deafening as people are very, not somber, but respectfully quiet as you approach. Despite the sheer number of people, it is unbelievably quiet. As you hear the strongest sound, as no one is speaking, is the sound of the winds blowing through the rocks of this mesa and this formation. And let me go ahead and pull up that for you all. As you approach Colosseum of Tafar.
Ooh. That thing big. That's a big old Coliseum.
Yeah, that's huge.
And on the southern edge, you see as you come across this, there's a large gorge that completely surrounds this particular mesa, with the exception of this hand-carved bridge on either side. You can definitely tell that this is, as you get closer to some of these columns, these intermediary structural columns that extend deep down this gorge, falling nearly 100 feet downwards to the basin that holds the base of this plateau up. Carved down, you see all of these columns, these bridges, all of these rock features that are intricately hand carved. As far as manpower, we are talking years, if not decades of time to carve this out of solid rock. But nonetheless, it is of exquisite craftsmanship as you get closer. But certain areas are left intentionally rough and natural to show that this structure is carved directly out of the rock itself, that it is a part of this location. And as you begin to cross, you see that there are two large pairs of pillars on the opposite end of the bridge just before you begin to walk over this bridge towards the Colosseum. When you begin to come across the gorge itself and look down, and just as you pass through those columns, are the beginning of this procession now that is formed in front of your contingent of students, these Dragonborn soldiers. You see in front of you now, Floof, you recognize those same armored dwarves has now stepped in off of a separate path in front of you. In front of them, that contingent of elves that you had seen prior is now stepped in, and you have this three-pronged contingent of individuals, these three major groups, these ancient powers, as you know, of the continent of Irindal, the three original lineages to first be known among the first denizens of this continent, grouping together as they enter, and you hear this thunderous roar as you all enter on the opposite end of this bridge. At this point, it is almost pitch black outside, with the exception of the torches and oil lanterns that are beginning to be lit all around as this procession leads in. And just as you enter in, you can see that there's a number of stairs moving right and left. Master Leopold looks to you all as his students are already prepared and know where they need to go. But he looks to you all. I'd recommend that you take a seat up in the stands. I have to take my place among the leaders on the opposite end of the Colosseum. But after which time, when the ceremony is over, we will discuss what we left off on the previous day.
Did we walk directly past the elves and the dwarves already, or no?
No, they were further in front of you. They kind of came off of a different path. There were two other branching paths that led into together.
Okay.
One further east and one further west, coming into this branching path with you guys following in almost this conjoined river path towards the main entrance into the Colosseum.
All right. I would like to kind of point out to Trash at the very least. I don't know if Dazes is farther ahead of us or not, because he was actually keeping good pace, but that those elves are there, and if I can point out the particular one from the Inquisition or whatever.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check to see if you can spot that particular individual.
Okay.
10, it's really difficult at this distance and nighttime because you don't have dark vision, so yeah.
All right, I'll at least point out that the elves are over there, and the Inquisitor guy might be with them, but I don't know.
Right. But Dazes and Trash, you've seen full-blooded elves, but it is rare. This is by far the most you've ever seen in a single location. There's probably 24, most of which are clad in silvery garbs, robes, and have some sort of symbolism referring them back to the Church of Helion. In front of, and then behind them, between you and the contingent of students, you see the heavily armored dwarves. Very, very finely made chain armor and scale and plate armor grouped in front of them, armed to the teeth, as if marching off to war at any moment.
I guess I think it might be. Oh, it doesn't. I kept contemplating if I should disguise self, but I mean, if my companions remain the same, then that's not much I can do to disguise myself? I guess I've had a hood up, or as best as I can, of some sort of kind of cape with a hood, and I have had it cautiously over my figure as best as I can for a majority of this time, and I just kind of pull it extra tight and close and just try to be as, you know, well hidden as I possibly can while we are in this procession.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a... You can give me a stealth or you can give me a deception check, your choice, depending on how you are trying to hide yourself. You're trying to hide yourself among the crowd, or if you're just trying to hide in general.
I guess it's not really deception, because if it was deception, I would have just gone for the full disguising of myself. Or you know what? Maybe I will, because there's so many people.
Yeah, I mean, it's whether or not you're trying to hide in plain sight by being, you know, among the crowd.
Okay, yeah.
Or, you know,
or
you're trying to just straight up be hidden.
I will cast I can cast the disguise self. I can do that.
Okay. You can roll with advantage then.
Okay.
So you take the form of a... well, you can describe to me.
Yeah, I don't change like my height or anything major. I just kind of I'm pretty much the same height for the most part, but instead I look like what would I be, like a halfling size, or
A halfling or a gnome or some other smaller race. Yeah.
Look like a kind of like a halfling brunette that's traveling.
Okay.
Instead, yeah. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I wish I could take a photo or something. I just rolled both of my dice. They're both natural 20s.
Let's go.
What the fuck? I've never rolled that before in my entire life.
I think that's like 1 in 250?
That's like...
Or more, like, 1 in 400? That's crazy.
I'm like gobsmacked right now. I have to take a picture of this moment, because
yeah, definitely take a picture of that shit.
I've never rolled that before. Holy shit.
But yeah, with a nat 20, you take on the form of this brunette halfling woman. Not unlike the form you took in down in Callisto when you were entering the casino, trying to hide your natural form. And just effortlessly, as you pass between the torchlight, that you notice that there's a segment of time where it's almost pitch black between the torches, and in that time you kind of duck into the corner behind one of the taller people, and right as you're walking still without missing a step, you come back in, and as that light begins to shine down upon you, you are now in this brunette halfling form.
I didn't mean to click on that, but regardless, following suit, I'll take the form of something and maybe kind of rest on her shoulder or something.
Okay. Whatever you'd like to take, you know, some sort of smaller creature.
Yeah, something small. I don't know what's kind of maybe I've observed that's not weird looking. Do people have cat? No, not cat would be stupid probably.
I mean, there's cats and dogs, and there's also a variety of small desert mice in this area, not unlike the form of the rat you took earlier, as well as very smaller reptiles, things of that nature.
I'll take a cat. I'm gonna be a cat, and I'm gonna get on the shoulder, a little, I don't know, like a gray cat.
Trash, you feel suddenly this feline jump up and nestle itself on your shoulder, this grayish form, as you watch your companion Floof sort of follow your lead, and not as gracefully, but nonetheless, in that shadow of darkness between the torches, suddenly disappear. And right as you were coming back into the light, you feel these a bit tension from the cat's claws kind of dig in just for a moment to get purchase on your shoulder, but enough to find themselves nestled against your neck.
I'll make a couple biscuits on the shoulder just to show that I'm friendly.
Yeah, and I do feel comforted by Floof's presence.
Slime biscuits are canon in Epics of Virendal. I love it. But as you all enter into the Colosseum, you, given the direction by prior to quite entering this entrance into the Colosseum from Master Leopard, as he takes his leave with his students deeper into the center part of the Colosseum, you're urged to take the left or right into the Colosseum as a whole. As you see, many people are beginning to gather. There's no particular seating of any kind except for a handful of skyboxes where individuals of great import are observing the ceremony or conducting the ceremony. But most people are just gathering spaces where they can find it. In fact, this is not necessarily to scale, but this is what you see from sort of an overhead view. Just a moment here.
Did Dazes do this, or is he chilling?
I would imagine
I guess you probably don't have magic. You probably can't really do anything.
I would imagine. Go ahead.
I was just I could stealth along a little bit, but I think I might be blending in with the dojo students.
Okay.
Yeah, with your march, you sort of, in your march beside, Master Leopard and that natural 20 from earlier. Yeah, with ease, you seem to have this presence that you are intended to be there. So with that, I won't even ask for any additional rolls on that one.
Okay.
We'll call that the benefit of your nat 20. But it seems relatively empty here, but just imagine more people. And this isn't necessarily perfectly to scale either. But from this overhead view of the Colosseum, you begin to see these students form, these Dragonborn students of war, these students of combat, perhaps many of them destined to become members of the Silver Talons, or to go on to be royal guard for members of the royal family of the Jamila dynasty, or working as various commanding officers for several of the military factions along the length and breadth of the dynasty. But as they take formation, you see on the central skybox, dead center of this ovular Colosseum, a silver dragonborn wearing fine robes and furs, taking center stage. Beside him, you see a bald dwarf with a intricately braided beard and fine armors, beautiful ceremonial armors. To his left, to his right, you see a beautiful fair-skinned elf wearing a silvered, beautiful tiara and wielding a finely made staff, observing the situation. Behind them, consecutively, you see now, even at this distance, the ever-watchful eyes of the Inquisitor standing directly behind the elven woman on the right-hand side of the Silver Dragonborn. Beside him, you see Master Leopard observing and speaking directly to the Silver Dragonborn in the center. Behind them, Trash, and Floof and Dazes, just ever so faintly, you see the puffs of tobacco smoke from a brunette or reddish brown, mostly bald dwarven man in bluish robes. Dwarvish man that you all spoke with not too long ago on your brief stint in Callista. The Master Arcanist Darius Oberson of the Magisterium Arcanum, accompanying the other dwarvish man directly at the front of this skybox. As the crowd finally begins to seat, and as the majority of the people have taken their places here in the spaces, I'll go ahead and show a number of these individuals, if you give me just a moment here. Going from left to right, you see this dwarvish man, as he puffs at a pipe, fine satin red, gold, and black leathers with large steel, finely made pauldrons on each shoulder, a bleach white beard, finely woven together, as he stares, scars on one side of his face, as he observes the crowd and observes the ceremony. In the center, a silver dragonborn. Based on the discussions, the brief moments you had with Master Leopard, you understand that this is most likely the Duke of the city. Let's go through.
Bunner Mike Delver's the Duke of the city? Oh, never mind. Duke Falar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you see the silver dragonborn in ceremonial armors, carrying a waist-high sword, and a burgundy cloak. Last but not least, the beautiful elvish woman. Hair, almost ivory skin, wearing white and blue robes, symbols of Helion on her staff, and a small holy symbol on her chest. As everyone begins to take their seat and the crowd begins to quiet down in respect, you hear the Duke call out to the awaiting crowd, and of course the students gathered. Greetings, everyone! Welcome! Welcome! It is on this day, millennia ago, that we fought and won as brother and sister, sacrificing greatly to win our freedom. Fleeing from the stars to come to this earthly rock we now know as Helios. Coming to rest here, but still not safe from our slavers, our masters of old, villains who chased us, enslaving our people for generations. on this day Kanak Hira, our draconic freedom. And as you hear him cry this out, all the Dragonborn among the crowd, as well as the students, raise their hands, their weapons in a thunderous cheer and cry, "A freedom that did not come without a price!" And as he shouts the word price, you all watch as, give me a moment, from a door underneath in the shadow, you begin to hear this iron gate begin to rise as a number of individuals begin to pour out along with this large float-like demonstration piece. Just a moment here. As these masked individuals wearing no armor, well, most of which wearing no armor, but their faces covered in these heinous-looking bald caps extended down with these tentacled masks meant to represent these heinous abjuration and these monstrosities, these creatures, their skin painted pale and pinkish, almost like that of a sea creature, as they step out from this large shell-like craft. And you can see from behind that there's like some wagon wheels behind it. It's meant to be a representative piece of what you imagine this vessel to be. The Empire of Old, our slavers for millennia, chased us to this very rock. Across the stars, they sought to bring us under thumb once again, enslaving us body and mind. But we would rather die than give up our newfound freedom. You watch as a number of these students, these individuals in these squid-like masks begin to step forward, and you see this flash of light from various individuals meant to represent this arcane energy, these blasts of energy, as you see a number of these Dragonborn soldiers fall at the front lines, while others step forward and drive weapons in ceremoniously to some of these individuals as they fall. But you see as a number of these Dragonborn, they're swiftly, in this demonstration being overrun by the effect of these creatures. Although determined in body and mind, strong spirits pushing us forward, it was unity that brought us victory this day. You hear as the dwarven man sets down his pipe, pulling from his hip, the one standing in front now, as the Duke steps back and this dwarf steps forward, blowing hard and strong on this large ivory-looking war horn that echoes out through the entire Colosseum as cries from the gates to the right and left are echoed by the march of of these dwarves that you saw earlier as they take their place behind these individuals and begin to ceremoniously assault from the opposite end. You hear the battle cry of this dwarvish man as he cries out in Dwarvish. And Trash, you would understand the words that he is saying. He cries out to the crowd, specifically in Dwarvish, the words, "Let the hammer of Durin fall upon our enemies. Let our freedom never be questioned again," is what he cries out. And you watch as these soldiers again begin to assault, and you see more of these individuals come out of this float, this crustacean-like ship, beginning to push outward and even beginning to push back this secondary force. And again, the silver dragonborn Duke steps forward. "But two breeds does not a strong rope make. A third alliance was made that day. Our friends, gifted in the arcane arts of their astral ancestors, gave freely their knowledge and expertise to help us overcome the last of our oppressors. And again, you see from the southern side, closest to you now, you see a number of individuals clad in beautiful plate armor and breastplates, this silvered color with this emerald green undercloak and gauntlets and things of that nature, step forward, casting out a variety of spells outwards, or at least what looks like damaging spells. Trash, you would recognize this. A lot of these is just minor illusion and prestidigitation and other damaging spells, but not cast directly at people, just made for show, basically.
Right.
As they come out from one of the gates below. It's hard to tell what the age of these individuals are. There are a mixture of half-elves as well as full-blooded elves in this group. Give me just one sec here. As they come out from the southern edge and begin to cast out a variety of spells towards these squid-like creatures. And atop this crustacean-like float, you see one individual in particular, a heinous-looking, scarred creature of the similar origin, tentacles stretching out towards the sky, and as he reaches out, the young woman, or I'm sorry, the Dragonborn steps forward again, the Duke. All those eons ago, when all seemed lost, the combined knowledge of our people were laid bare as we prayed to the gods above to free us from this servitude. And you watch as this ivory-skinned elf reaches upwards towards the sky, the beautiful starry sky above that you can see as all the torches around the outer rim of the Colosseum are snuffed out simultaneously to add effect as a huge burst of arcane fireworks are jettisoned into the air, making a huge blast of daylight in the center over the top of the Colosseum. Like as if a small micro sun had just completely illuminated the area into midday. And you hear the female voice call out, amplified by magic, as she steps forward beside the Duke, the Silver Dragonborn. We prayed to Helion above that we may be free from those who would chain us to this earthly coil. We gave all that we were and all that we will ever be to free us forevermore. And as she calls down, this bright ball of intense daylight begins to approach and approach and approach down towards this crustacean craft in the center. And as it gets closer, you can see her drawing it down. It's far enough back now that everyone's outside the blast radius, but you see this column of pure, unadulterated light, not unlike the moonbeam that you are familiar with, Floof, but nearly tenfold in size and diameter, as it comes down in a radiant column and incinerates this float in a near instant. And as this demonstration fades, you look up again as more arcane fireworks are spread across the sky. Our Lady Helion gifted the world with the seed of life. And as those arcane fireworks are spread across the night sky, Floof, you recognize the emblem that appears above your head. It is the same one that was drawn and given to you by Dr. Nightingale, except turned 180 degrees, as if blossoms of a flower bud extended off the bottom into this seed-like shape. As it spreads downward in this beautiful display, but nonetheless, the immediate recognition of what you are looking at. She calls out, calling it the seed of life.
While this happens, I'm staring at it through my cat eyes, and I am gonna inadvertently dig some claws into trash as much as you. Well, no, she is in a non-gloopy shape right now, so yeah.
Well, I mean,
and I'm just
disguise self
staring.
doesn't change the shape; it just covers it, really. So you're still digging into her normal form.
All right, then yeah, that's what I'm doing. But I'll maintain my shape and concentration and everything like that. But I'm obviously I don't know, disturbed by seeing this. And what'd you call it? The symbol of
the seed of life.
Seed of life. Okay.
She referred to it as a gift from Helion, the seed of life.
Okay.
This ceremony is then followed by, a huge burst, a more extended, flamboyant, arcane fireworks show as the crowd cheers and oohs and ahs throughout this whole demonstration, as the remainder of these tentacled creatures are, ceremoniously put down by the group of dwarves, dragonborn, and elves. People of Tafar, nay, people of Irandal, friends, lest us not forget the sacrifices of old, those who gave everything so that we may live in peace, champions of our own choices, our own will. Thank you to our esteemed guest. And he looks over to his left, the dwarvish man, and urges him to step forward. Just a moment here. For those who do not know our esteemed guests of the Dwarven Dominium, may I present Dame Doran Bruna, Might Delver. For those of you, Dami Duren is the title. Brunar Might Delver is the person.
Gotcha.
And I'll put it in Discord later for you guys.
Okay.
Dami Durin. D-A-M-I D-U-R-I-N is the title. And then Brunar Might Delver is the name of the individual. And of course, the beautiful matriarch of the Empire herself has graced us with her attendance. To Lady Empress Melinda Rosewell IV. Trash, you recognize that name immediately. This is the first time you've ever seen the Empress in person. In fact, this is probably the first time many have seen the Empress in person, as it is exceedingly rare in this day and age to see them outside the royal palace in Magnolia. She is a silver-haired, ivory-skinned, high elven woman of slender figure, sharp eyes, and carries herself with a poise and grace unlike anything you've seen before. Not only the leader of the Empire, the better part, one of the three major rulers of Irindal. The other, standing to the left, Dami Durin, one of the if not the de facto ruler, certainly one of the major rulers of the Dwarven Dominium of the Mountains of Vanarut, stands to his left. A rare sight indeed to see such powerful individuals in one place. But as the fireworks begin to settle and the excitement of the ceremony begins to fade, you can watch as people are beginning to gather and collect their families, their friends that they came with, and are beginning to exit the Colosseum. What are you all doing?
I'm kind of just following, I think, Trash's lead, just because I'm on her shoulder.
I guess I will try to. Well, I don't know where we're supposed to go now, but I guess I'll just kind of stick with Dazes and kind of see if there was a place or we get some sort of signal or gesture from about where we're supposed to go now, or kind of gather more information. I don't know. I'm still kind of a little weary, so I'm not.
Sure. It's a very busy exodus from the Colosseum, especially with the darkened nature. Now it is deep into the night at this point. Not like super late, but deep into the night at this point. So the sun has completely disappeared from the sky, and the stars are, and the moon itself are really the primary sources of light, other than the torches and the oil lanterns that are being used by the city guard to guide the event goers out of the Colosseum. And as you all are heading down the way you came, from the far end, you hear a mighty call from the gateways. A familiar voice, but a mighty call of Master Leopard. Friends, this way, this way, this way! Please. You'll be lost amongst the crowd. As he calls to you from the gates.
Here, let's head over.
Pardon me?
So let's head over to where he was calling us from, I guess.
Yeah, you head deeper into the Colosseum, opposite of the way you entered. Now heading, through, and you can see behind him the gates where his students are, cheerfully talking with one another. A few talking with members of the groups from the Dwarvish Dominion. You don't see a lot of the elves speaking with anyone else, but you see dwarves and the Dragonborn sort of conversing with one another, a bit more on friendly terms. But you see those two groups kind of intermingling amongst themselves, and you see Master Leopard, call you all over. Well, friends, what did you think? I know it's a bit of pomp and circumstance, but nonetheless important to our history. The history of the continent as a whole as well, perhaps even the entire world.
Yes, it was certainly eye-opening.
Most people don't know and may never know the origins of our beginnings. Those millennia ago fought as they came to this rock, as we float through the astral sea, seeking freedom from oppression. That is the heart of this ceremony. And you all recall, you saw various iconography and you saw various murals when you were in Callista of similar creatures and similar incidents of the past depicted upon large mural walls of the city, between the various rings of the city, the plateaus, showing this same sort of ceremonial moment in history. Not quite as dramatized, but and perhaps not as high school college of play-esque at times, but it still nonetheless has a great significance. You can tell from the people, as now this began as a very somber and reflective moment is now turned into this moment of excitement and cheer and celebration, as that emotion has given way to relief. And you can see that this is sort of a common theme of this ceremony. That remembrance gives way to strong celebration and renewed hope for the future.
A nice positive note.
Yeah. Definite difference in tone. But nonetheless, as you all briefly speak with Master Leopard, directly in the center of the Colosseum now, you see the same contingent of individuals gathered together, now speaking with themselves, as well as some of the other higher-ranking individuals of the ceremony. Not but maybe 100, 120 feet away. You see the strong, bold figure of the Empress herself, accompanied by the Inquisitor that had chased you all out of the city of Mirstadt. Speaking with them, you see the probably 4.5 foot tall dwarven man that was beside them, as well as the Duke Filar, as Master Leopard explains to you. The fourth younger brother of the current ruler of the Jamila dynasty. But nonetheless, in close proximity to quite possibly some of the most powerful individuals on the continent. And some of the most daunting individuals that you have ever met.
I will hiss at the group from atop Trash's shoulder.
Not recognizing you, Trash, you see, really, Leopard has just been talking with Dazes now. Not having, I forgot you were in disguise. So, kind of pseudo retcon here.
That's okay.
Not really recognizing you all, but, just seeing that you're in company with Dazes. I assume your colleagues have gone elsewhere, haven't quite made it off of the stands yet, but nonetheless, it'll perhaps be another hour or so before we can leave, but on the way back, I would like to share with you what we discussed in private. If you don't mind waiting, of course.
Yes, of course.
And
Go
ahead.
No, you're good. Nothing.
He nods to you and then, steps back, offering to have you wait among the various students that you had observed. You get this sense of pride, and despite the sort of theatrical nature of the whole ceremony, still nonetheless, it was a show of pride in one's heritage and one's training, particularly for these young students of martial prowess, that their delivery, their poise, their stance among this whole ceremony was more important to them than anything else, proving that they, the results of their training, and trying to show not only respect to their people and their heritage, but to their teacher more so than anything else. You definitely get that sense that there's a large amount of respect that they have for Master Leopard, more than anything else, perhaps.
Fully understood.
Yeah, and from your perspective, it's a very understood teacher-student relationship.
I shed a single tear.
Is there anything, as you all wait for a short period of time, as the crowd begins to disperse and thin outwards, as discussions are had among the various ruling individuals here in attendance, is there anything you all are doing or would like to do as you watch from afar? Some of you perhaps watching from a bit further away, trying to avoid any type of suspicion.
I'm just keeping my eyes fixed on those leaders at the center of the Coliseum as best as I can, anyway. I know I can't probably get much out of it from the distance that I'm at, but still just observing.
You can certainly try.
Yeah, I'm just observing away.
Okay. Perhaps Floof
I'll try.
is. Oh, okay. Are you trying to
I'll
be?
just-
Are you trying to be covert about it, or are you just?
Yes.
Or are you just trying to mingle among people and hide in plain sight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the mix of the same group that you know, the group of students that I was in.
Okay.
And I guess I'm just glancing over every now and then.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a general charisma check. See, as you kind of intermingle and try to, kind of Assassin's Creed hide in plain sight sort of join yourself among the students and try to make small talk as you try to also listen in on these various discussions closer in proximity.
That's a terrible roll. Oops. Sorry, ignore that second one. Let's
Okay.
flip.
It's a bit tough. You notice that you don't have a lot in common with some of these students, other than they do respect your martial prowess as they recognize you from your time sparring with their master. The few that do talk with you are a bit far off, as they're more, the younger crowd of students that are more interested in just fighting, more so than the reasoning behind it and the training and the discipline behind it. They're just more interested in knowing how you do the things you do. How they're asking you questions about your style and your teachings, how you learn to do what you do. They want to know how to punch better. It's more of that like freshman attitude versus senior discipline. But you notice like the more senior students, the older, more soldier-esque students that are prepared to take positions among the various parts of the dynasty are just kind of giving you the side eye. So it's difficult for you to get close enough, because more of the senior students are the ones that are closer to the individuals.
Gotcha.
But,
That's fair
so
enough.
you're not really able to overhear anything from that distance.
No, well.
But a valiant attempt nonetheless.
I tried.
A for effort.
But it is a bit of a waiting game, but you do watch as the leaders are escorted away by a contingent of armed guards and various escorts of their various peoples before Master Leopard arrives back. What is the time frame on Disguise Self, Crash?
Actually, I guess I do not know. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's like just an hour, really. So.
Yeah, it definitely would have worn off at this point. In fact,
Yeah.
probably, unless you want to recast it, it would have worn off about the time you were coming down. But I'll let it slide a little bit because we're kind of theater of the minding this. So it would have failed.
I'll say, like.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I'll say just to keep it up until after the ceremony, that we could kind of get away and then know that we're just meeting individually, um, in more of a private setting that I would have kind of dropped it. So if I need to recast it, I can
I would
recast
say
it.
probably, because the ceremony
Okay.
was probably about 45 minutes, at least.
Okay.
That means I'm on the ground. I'm walking up and I'm gonna
How long is your
attempt.
wild shape, Floof? Is it like 2 hours, or how long is it?
It's half my level rounded down, so for now, yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah, 2.5
Um,
hours. So yeah, so 2 hours. So yeah, you'd be, by the time Master Leopard, you'd probably be 3/4 of the way through it. But by the time they come back, so if you wanted to change back into your normal form, you could, or you can just stay as a cat for the next 30 or 40 minutes.
Okay. I'm trying to think here if I want to take a mega risk or not.
Well, at this point, you're watching the center of the Colosseum. The other contingent of elves and dwarves are taking a different exit from where you all are exiting, where you came in from.
Okay.
Kind of the same way that a sports team would wait until the crowd leaves before they leave. That's
Okay.
kind of the way, like, the students and the presenters and the contingent of dwarves and elves are kind of waiting for everyone to leave. That way it's easier for them to police and control who's watching them.
Okay. So, is like Melinda and the Inquisitor and the Duke? Are they all still like in the middle?
They're exiting right now. They're
Okay.
they're heading
All
to
right.
the opposite end of the Colosseum.
Yeah. Okay. If the Inquisitor especially isn't in doesn't seem to be paying any attention to us, I'll revert back to normal form then.
Okay. I would say, yeah, at this point, as you're kind of exiting, you don't feel overly uncomfortable that you're in front of people who would recognize you.
Okay.
As you leave. At least not in this particular situation. But as you all are leaving, crossing the bridge, I would imagine you would, same sort of deal as you step between those torches and those shadows, dropping your disguises if desired, or your wild shape, coming back in, now garnering the attention of Master Leopard as he sees you come back into the presence of your companion Dazes. Welcome back. I believe we lost you there for a moment. Did you get lost coming out of the stands?
I was Cat on her shoulder.
We had reason to obscure our form for the performance, if that's okay.
I understand. Given our past dealings, I will not pry, but I would ask that you conduct yourselves appropriately, whatever your intentions are. Are we clear?
It's nothing untoward. I just am not able to freely practice my craft under the eyes of certain organizations around here.
Go ahead and give me either a persuasion or a deception check. You don't have to tell me which one. Just tell me what the final number is.
Okay. 14.
Little one, I understand that perhaps what we may do has negative associations with it. Again, all I ask is that while you are here and a guest of our city, that you simply conduct yourself appropriately. That you don't do anything to reflect poorly on our dojo or our students.
I would never. I would not dream of it.
Very well. You can see he's got this kind of look in his eye, you know, as he has that teacher's look that he's trying to be supportive, but also stern enough to understand, like, perhaps know your limits.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, as you're walking back, you see that the students at this point are far more informal, like beginning to show their age now, especially the younger students, as they're, like you saw, Dazes, they're far more talkative now, now that the formality has dropped entirely. The excitement is more of akin to a school field trip than it is a proper ceremony at this point. As you see them talking amongst themselves, being, getting that general excitement. For some of them, this is the first time that they've been a part of this situation. For others, this is now the third or fourth time. So they have a little less excitement, but still that excitement's kind of exchanged with, a bit more pride and sense of honor and duty. A bit more of the adult interpretation of it, of the situation. Kind of as they are kind of going from that youthful enthusiasm to the more tempered, soldier-like pride and understanding and, just growing up in general.
Yep,
You can kind of see that spectrum of age moving across them.
Mm-hmm.
But as Master Leopard kind of falls back a little bit with you all, I appreciate you all observing what our people find so important. The few, if any, remain that know the proper origins of founding of this land, this continent that we live on. But what we do know is shared by now as word of mouth. In most cases, post-cataclysm, as many of the documents were lost, and all that remained were the words of the elder few. Not unlike those that my grandson went to find. You do not hear this from me, do we understand?
I nod.
I mimic Dazes' nod.
Same.
My grandson Gamil went east. He's looking for the leader of one of the oldest tribes in the Mesas. He seeks to know what is going on in the world. Last we spoke in private, he appeared extremely concerned of a plot that could harm the very fabric of our society. He is looking for a leader of one of the tribes, an elder Ulman Gurm. We want to speak with him. No easy. Ulman, Ulmon Gherm.
Got it.
Or Ulman Gam.
Okay.
I've met this man one time. He is a ferocious warrior. His people, perhaps some of the finest warriors you will ever meet. They are... Well, he is an inspiration of sorts. Despite only meeting him one time, he left an impression that will last a lifetime, and he shows you a scar across the side of his face, like a deep scar. You will not find them. But if you head deep into the mesas, give enough time, they will find you. Respect their ways. Do not question what they do, lest you find a blade deep in your throat.
I look at Floof as he says this.
What?
As I said, they are warriors shaped by the land itself, the environment. Perhaps one of the oldest tribes still remaining that can carry itself as far back as our lineages, but they carry their history verbally. Nonetheless, during the Cataclysm, nearly a millennia ago, many of the secrets of the old world were lost. Generations of knowledge lost. They retained their spoken history. These are the people that Gamil wished to speak with. He told me he fears more than anything, a threat of ancient times. That's all he told me. I imagine if you find him, find Elder Gam, you will find Gamil.
Thank you for trusting us with this information.
Yes. Please do not mar this trust. This is twice now I've broken my oath. I see you are looking to sense no ill will in your search for my grandson. I would have known it when I fought you all. But I ask that you be careful. There are others in this world that are not as trusting. Trash and Floof, what are you doing during this exchange?
I'm checking the notebook symbol to make sure I'm not crazy and that it did indeed match what was during this ceremony. And I'm whispering the seed of life to myself.
You turn the symbol over and it nearly matches perfectly the seed-like shape that you saw reflected in the arcane fireworks.
Okay. I'll pretty bluntly ask, what is the seed of life to Mr. Leopard?
You ask about the seed of life. The gift of the goddess Helion.
Where is she?
Goddess?
Yeah.
She is in all things, in light, in life. She is the giver of the divine, the leader of the divine 12.
I need to talk to her.
Oh, you have a youthful optimism, Floof, but that is a gift even few clerics are gifted with.
Clerics? Talk to...
Individuals who devote their lives to the gods. And understanding their divine nature, their teachings, their rulings, their interpreting their will.
I'll find one.
You saw several today. Her Majesty, the Empress of Magnolia, is perhaps the most well-known cleric of Helion in the entire continent, perhaps the world.
Where's she staying?
Well, it was a surprise to see her outside of the palace, much less here in Tafar, of all places, but I would imagine that she would be returning soon to Magnolia, the capital city of the Empire. As you hear this trash, memories of your very first memories. Your time before even meeting Catherine. Your time in Magnolia. Your time with the rats and the ratlings of the sewer. You hear your companion's youthful optimism of learning about the seed of life. Your only thought really goes back to watching individuals be chased into the sewers by members of the Inquisition. The fear you remember vividly of the debilitating hooded lanterns that cast suppressing light all across your face, your most painful memories.
Yeah, pretty much until we leave, I will not feel at ease or peace here. I'm just on edge. I don't feel comfortable. I need us to distance ourselves from this place. I'm far away and I'm antsy. I don't.
Are you trying to hide your anxiety, or are you...
I guess so, but if you've been traveling with me for a period of time, you'll notice that I am not myself.
I think Floof and Dazes at different times during your walk back with Master Leopard, during your discussion and your exchange with some of the students, I believe with your passive insight, you would begin to pick up on Trash's anxiety. Their attempt at mitigating a bit of uncomfortable fear of the situation that you've now seen a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to comfort her. I'll pick her up and give her a big hug.
How do you react, Trash?
I think I try my best to respond warmly to it because I understand the gesture and it is a very nice, comforting thing. I don't often get hugs, because of my disposition. But I just have, even in the comfort and the niceness of the niceness of the hug that I don't frequently get to experience. I'm just the thoughts of us in confrontation with the Inquisitor and how quickly we were overpowered, like all of that is just swimming in my head, and I just fear the loss of freedom, but now the stakes are a bit higher because I fear for my friends. So all of that is still very much present in my mind, even though I recognize the gesture and I'm trying to respond nicely to it. All these flashes of our previous confrontation they're all still there.
With the whirling
After about 30 seconds, I put her back down.
Thank you, Floof.
With the whirling of thoughts in your mind, a mixed bag of new information now gathered at the outset of this annual ceremony here in Tafar. You all arrive back in the heart of the city where you had left. As the students say goodbye to you all, as Master Leopard urges them all to greet or say goodbye to you with a ceremonial bow, show of good faith and gesture, as you all continue on your journey in the coming days. Now, deep into the night, tired both mentally, a bit physically from your time walking back and forth, but now certain of your next destination into the arid mesas of Almatur to find the tribe leader of Ulmangam. As the night wanes on, you all head towards a comforting bed. Your stay here in Tafar perhaps reaching a conclusion. I think that's where we'll go ahead and wrap things up for tonight.
We out here learning shit.
A lot of questions, though.
Lore dump! Lore dump!
Lord dumping.
Hey, that's all right.